All right, welcome to the weekly beginning market analysis for 30 May. What we're going to do tonight is go over correction, the setups for the week, and then we will be back on here tomorrow night at the same time to give you your DMA, daily market analysis. All right, so first pair we're going to go over tonight is going to be GA. All right, on the day time frame, they have issued us a moon, right, and two wicks at the peak, right? Looking at TDI, it popped just outside the top Bollinger Band and it's been riding on it. I told you before, if it's moving like parallel to it in a sense, right under it, I don't like trading it, but it has popped out barely. Zoom in a little bit, so I can't zoom in anymore. And then it not necessarily came back in quite yet, but it has just went right over it to where you can't even see it. So we'll drop down to the 4-hour time frame. There's our first leg, and then a long wick, which could be considered a second leg, right? But it's closed below, so this outside structure is still holding. Looking at TDI, first leg was outside of the top Bollinger Band, and it's just crossed below that red EMA here on the RSI. We'll drop down to the 1 hour. So there's our first leg, second leg, third leg, 3 hits all last week before ending the week. And then it's come down here, giving us our low of the day, right? I'm expecting them to come back. Zoom out a little bit. Come back up, if not to the high of the day, right? To retest, then come back up and retest this high, last week's high, and then drop. So that's our range to pay attention to tonight. Let's look at this weekly structure last week. Where is that? One of my buttons disappeared. All right. So, anyways, I was gonna go over the last week's weekly structure. They started off last week below here, right? False move week beginning, and then came up, and then came down to 3 levels, right? Midweek reversal. It came back, second leg. So here's our W. 1 day of rise, 2 days of rise. So they could potentially, and because TDI is already at the bottom Bollinger Band, they could potentially come up, right? Give us that vector, that 25 pip push to exceed this high, and then give us an MN drop, which will conclude the 3 days of rise. Or they could come back and retest this level and then drop. We shall see how they behave tonight. All right, moving on to EJ. So on the day time frame, we got another peak formation, right? You see all these small pushes continuously up. There's no real trend, right? That's why TDI is moving sideways. But they gave us another peak, strong push up, consolidated for 3 days. TDIs hit that top Bollinger Band. That's what we like to see. And they issued us a sun. And drop down to the 4-hour time frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So a little over 30 hours of consolidation. Just sideways movement right above that 13 EMA. So this is first leg, second leg right here. Because it's so early. Oh, and first leg was outside of the Bollinger Band. Second leg as this is the hit right here, and then they continue down. So you can see a lazy M right here. It shows it a lot clearer than the actual price action, but it's there. So we'll go down to the 1 hour, zoom out. On the 1 hour, you can see 4 hits: 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then a little consolidation. They dropped down to the 50 EMA, expecting them to come back up, retest one more time, or they might come back to the mid-Asia range before continuing short. So another short position on EJ. Go over to CJ. Essentially the same thing as EJ, right? A lot of small pushes up, right? Inducing, trying to collect those contracts. One strong push up to finish the move. He was basically assessing the damage and see where the money is. But as of right now, we've got a sun on the day time frame, and TDI is closing right below that that high level line. All right, there's still some space for them to there's still some space in between TDI and the top Bollinger Band for them to come back on the 4-hour. Drop down to the 1-hour. Here you can see this outside structure right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 hits to the high. Lets us know that reversal is definitely coming. He's just inducing traders to go long before he snatches the market. They've issued us a star right here at the low of the day, today's low. Right, TDI is at that bottom Bollinger Band, expecting them to come back up and either retest the high of the day or last week's high before dropping. All right. Any questions so far? All these are essentially, all the yen pairs are essentially doing the same thing. This one looks a little different, UJ. So they've given us I wouldn't consider this a second leg because these two candles have closed above this, right? So it's essentially a reset to this drop right here, coming back up and resetting from this peak. So they've issued us a long wick with a moon. TDI is at the top Bollinger Band. All right, here's our first leg. Just waiting on that second leg. They could come back up to the 50. They could come back up to this 000 line right here. Or they could come back up to the very top of this peak this week before dropping. But just waiting on that second leg before we take them short. All right, and I'll stop at the 4-hour there. Moving on to NC. NC, not really one of my favorite setups for this week. There's no indicators here yet, so we'll keep it pushing until they give us some. All right, NJ, essentially the same thing. A lot of small pushes, right? Consolidated, strong push up. Gave us a peak formation, right, way above this setup here, and issued us a sun. TDI hit the top Bollinger Band. That's what we love to see. And here we got first leg, a little consolidation after they shifted the zone. Consolidation, this could be considered a W, right? But I'm expecting them to come up and give us a second leg either at this 000 line or at the top of this box, which is last week's high before dropping. All right, TDI was outside the top Bollinger Band at the high level line, right? Hit that market baseline now. So waiting to see how they behave once they come back up. All right. Moving on to AN. All right, daytime frame. They have issued us a W, first leg, second leg. This is the perfect example of a stop hunt, right? You see this long wick right here? After giving that first leg, right, and they shifted, they came back down on the, you can see it clear as day on the day time frame, right? There was still more money down here, right? So they came down here, hit the pending orders of the retail traders that were expecting the market to go short, right? So they set it down here. They said, when the market comes down here, it's going to activate my trade to go short. That way I don't miss that much money, right? And then you have the ones that did get it right, like us, right, who set our stop loss down here, right? So he came back up to hit us and take us out of the ones that got it right before shifting up. Right, you'll be able to see it clear on the lower time frames, but TDI has popped out of the bottom Bollinger Band. Right, that's what we like to see. We see an indicator and then TDI outside the Bollinger Band. All right, on the 4 hour, here's that first leg right here, second, and then it came back again to pick up the pending. You see that closed way above that previous W. So they definitely knew what they were doing and took out us, the ones that know the market maker method, and also picked up those pendings after inducing those traders short. All right, but TDI currently, they've issued us a star right here at the top of this orange box. TDI is on its way up to the mid-level line to meet with that top Bollinger Band. So we'll see if they come back down, right, and give us another hit. If they do not, then that is fine. This first leg right here isn't, or this W right here isn't as clear, right? This could be considered a W. You wouldn't be wrong considering this as a second leg, either one, first, second, or first and then second. As you get more familiar and more chart time, you'll be able to identify these a lot easier. But you wouldn't be wrong considering this the second leg. But we won't be entertaining this until they come back and retest. Hopefully they do that within tonight or tomorrow. All right, moving on to EA. EA on the daytime frame, essentially the same thing, pushing up. They've retested this previous high here, this long wick up to the top, right? Issued us a moon. TDI was outside of the top Bollinger Band and has come back up to hit it once again. All right, and if you line this crosshair up with this peak right here, or this wick, you can see that these candles, this railroad track, has closed below this. So this outside structure is still valid, right? But they have issued a railroad track, 3 long wicks up to the top. They always pin the wicks in the opposite direction that they're going to go. Issued us a sun. TDI is closing right below that top Bollinger Band on the 4-hour time frame. Drop down to the 1 hour. First leg, second leg, right? This is the high of the day. This is last week's high. Hopefully they come back up and retest one more time. This second leg is still early in Asian, so I'm not comfortable trading that. I prefer the last quarter of the blue box or London session. So hopefully they come back up to either the high of the day or the top of this orange box, which is last week's high, before continuing short. But they could, because they've given us a second leg already, they could continue down. All right, so more to follow on that. AC on the daytime frame, they have issued a second leg, first, second. This structure right here, this candle has not closed below this wick, so this is considered a W, right? The TDI First leg was closed right above the bottom Bollinger Band. Second leg is right below that red EMA. All right, so we'll drop down to the 4-hour. You can see it clearer now. This wick right here, if you line it up, both of these candles have closed above. They have closed flush on 3 candles. 1, 2, 3, right? Sent that wick down and then issued us a sun. So this could be considered the second leg. First leg, second leg, right? Multi-day W. Just waiting for them to, we'll drop down to the 4-hour, the 1-hour, so I can go over this real quick. Just waiting for them, because that leg right here was pretty early in the Asian session. Just waiting for them to come back down and see how they behave down here, either at the low of the day, right, to retest this low, or to come down here and retest last week's low before taking off. They've already issued a star, right, at the high of the day, and TDI is almost at that top Bollinger Band. But we do have biased Bollinger Bands. Both of these Bollinger Bands are below the mid-level line. That's a good indicator right there as well. EN on the daytime frame, don't really care for it because it hasn't given us any indicators yet. But based on what I see at the on the RSI, TDI is hitting that market baseline, so I'm expecting them to come back down and retest this level right here. If they do end up pinning or giving us an indicator, then we'll start paying attention to it. But as of right now, I'm not going to. But this is my bias for the week on EN. All right, moving on to GC. Not going to cover that one either. All right, I'm gonna pass it off to, well, first, do you have any questions, Will? All right, I'm gonna pass it off to Nick so he can cover his pairs. All right, bro, you're good.
I'm pulling my screen up. All right, I got my same 4 pairs that I like to cover. It's GU, GJ, EG, and GN. All right, we're going to start off with GU, right? So last week, let's pull up the week chart first, right? So last 2 weeks, we had continued to retest to this initial high where this moon is and this indicator is, right? So this is our first leg. The first leg still been respected the entire time, right? We got TDI. It's kind of riding that top Bollinger Band. I expected it to poke out last week and kind of give us a nice little fin on the top end. It didn't, but I'm still pretty confident in the short sell bias of GU. Right, moving down to the day chart, we have been in a consolidation period for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will be the 10th day if they don't have any real movement. Any real movement would be a breach of this high or a breach of this low right in here. Okay, that's what we would be looking for. So haven't really got any clear trend direction. They've just been consolidating. So I'd like to see an M formation come out tonight. I think it'd be a perfect time for the market makers to do it, considering tomorrow is Memorial Day. There's zero red news. I think there's only a couple pieces of medium level news, and none of it actually affects the pound. So there's no real pound news. Plus, it's a really good entry if we can get a good signal, right? Because we're at this top end level here, right? We can really get a nice tight stop loss to manage our risk. And take that. Hopefully, wait on this a long time, right? And to try to ride this for a long-term swing trade. So moving into the 1-hour chart, right? We see that we're coming back up for the retest. I'd like to see the TDI poke back up above the market baseline here to give me a better feeling, right? A better signal for a potential short sell. And that could even come in the form of a long wick, a spike all the way up to here. As long as they're closing below this level, and I'd like them to close below the double zero line. That'd be nice. Would be the ideal setup, but we shall see what they decide to pay. All right, GJ. I don't like GJ at all. I am not going to probably be paying a lot of attention to it this week. I'll let Javon cover it at the end if he still likes it. Because last week I didn't like it. He liked it last week. I still don't like it. I don't like these big bars. Right? That to me, that's too aggressive of a movement. I'd rather see nice trends like this. These trends. This is what I like. After a big bar like that out of nowhere, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the pair anymore. I'll wait till it stabilizes a little bit more. That's the way I look at it. All right. EG is the check down pair, right? As we said, we use this pair to kind of balance out the other two pairs and help to confirm our trade and our directional bias. We're coming off the low end here, right? As you can see, we've got a nice low, a nice peak formation low, highlighted out by our nice, sweet spot triangle, right? And we have come down for a third hit. I would like to see them push higher. I like that. I like this in terms of a buy bias, a long bias. We have our sun. They gave us a moon on top end, and then completed this triangle with that star, and that was the last actual indicator right now. That last leg here has held, so that provides a much greater point of confidence in a buy bias. Additionally, we got TDI at the coming off that bottom Bollinger Band on the day time frame. Right, this is all of this again. It's supported as the lower down you go in the time frames. Right, we have our nice consolidation period. Them just kind of hitting this low. Right, never breached it. Right, never breached it, which is good. Right, and then you can see they started to close a bit higher, coming out of that shark fin. Right, coming outside of that bottom Bollinger Band. Right, last indicator on the 4-hour chart was this moon. Hasn't been anything else on top and since the directional bias of long. 1-hour chart, I'd like to see them come a little bit farther down on a retest today. I'd like to see them come back into this range here, right, where this consolidation period is, and try to, we'll see. It all depends if the retail traders can make some money in that range. I'd like for them to do that to give us a better entry, because that means they're wrong and we're right. As per usual, right? That's what I'd really like to see, to be completely honest with you. And I think we'll get that right. You have our sun here, but we already got a star on the top end with no follow-up bottom indicator. So there's the potential for them to even come down and retest past the bottom of this candle here, right, in a very aggressive manner. And that's really what I would like to see for that to happen. All right, last but not least, GN. We talked last week about them coming back up to complete level 1, and they have done just that. I'd like to see them again come a little higher. I'd like to see them come probably back up to this initial second leg, and providing us with a star on the back end. Because right now we have the star here, and that's been held, and we've seen 3 days of rise off of that. So I would like to see one more good day of rise, giving us a star on the back end here, on the top end here, before we start looking for a short sell. But even still, right, the overall bias is short, right? We're just waiting for that entry, right, that signal to allow us to get the best possible entry and make the most money. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we'll see what happens, right? But this could be it, because you can see we have our indicator on the top end. So just because we don't have it on the day chart doesn't actually mean that we have to get it, right? So we're gonna pay attention, right? We're gonna see what they decide to do. Today's gonna tell us a lot about the pair. Again, looking at the 1-hour chart, right? We got some pretty good consolidation to end the week last week. We made a move through Asian into the London session and then just consolidated in the week and day. And they've been respecting this high. We got a bunch of trap through candles right through the double zero here, here, and here. All right, so this makes me think that they're going to start moving short again a lot sooner because this big candle, right, they spiked high, but they closed below. So that tells me they were grabbing contracts above that price point, that double zero price point. And they did it again here, and then they did it again here. Now, granted, they didn't go past the double zero line, right? But they came up and they touched it, right? As you can see, right here. They came up, they just boop, touched it real quick, grabbed those contracts that were probably sitting at that double zero price point. As we've talked about before, they retail traders like to use those price points for entries or something along those lines. It's pretty retarded, actually. It makes zero sense, but the market makers know it, so they'll go up, they'll get those orders right, grab them, and shift away. Which I think they're going to probably end up shifting away short. So GN is actually one of my favorites for this week. I think there's a lot of potential. Plus, it's a heavy mover, like some of 100 plus pips a day. ADR value, as you can see on the top left hand side, GN moves 155 pips on average. I mean, that's just absolutely spectacular, right? You just make a lot of money like that. But though GU and GN are my top two for the week. Okay. Javon, do you have anything else you want to add? Do you want to cover GJ at all?
I can real quick. I'll just touch on it.
I don't like it, so I'm not really. I didn't. As soon as I looked at it, I was like, man, I don't want anything to do with that pair.
Yeah, make me the host real quick.
Yeah, I got you. And then I got some comments on the back end when you're done.
I clicked the wrong thing to share. All right, there we go. All right. Where are we at? GJ. So, essentially the same thing as the other yen pairs. That aggressive move means that they had trap volume down here, right? So they had to snatch the market, take their money, assess that damage. They consolidated, dropped down to, we'll go ahead and look at the RSI. RSI, if you look at the RSI, TDI is hitting that top Bollinger Band and that at that high level line, right? That means there's been a lot of, there's been that aggressive move. I don't want to call it momentum. There's been a lot of volume. There we go. I blanked out for some reason. Volume behind that move, right? Which makes that TDI jump up like that. Lets you know that there has been an aggressive move, a lot of movement in the market, and that they're going to be reversing soon. So they're at that high level line. I'm actually surprised that this move didn't put TDI above the high level, closer to the extremely high, but still hitting that line. All right, consolidation, right, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So a little over 1 day. And then dip down. Right, we're just waiting for them to come back up. I already marked this up before. I assumed that Nick wasn't going to cover it. So they haven't came completely down. As you can see, there's still some space in between price action and the 13 EMA. And coincidentally, right, there's space in between TDI and the market baseline. So they might not be done dipping down, right? And TDI hasn't came down here just yet because it's really there hasn't been a trend, right? It's been sideways movement, so slightly coming down, but it's mimicking almost the exact same to the to price action, right? So I'll go down to the 1 hour time frame, and you can see that consolidation a lot better. A lot of short candles, right? They did a quick dip down and back up, right above that 13 EMA, did it again and again. So they're trying to induce, right, long and short, seeing who bites more. right? Or is the money up here, or is the money down here? But right now, this is the high. This is what we're worrying about, right? We're not trying to catch it long, right? Even though they're trying to bite and get people to bite both ways. The real trend, the real bias is short, right? But if they keep inducing traders long and they don't get them, guess what? The market maker is going to pull up even higher, right? And he can do that tonight. If he doesn't retest the high of the day and retest that high of last week, then he'll go up to that 25 pip box, right? That's going to be above the London session, and see if he gets people to bite there one last time, right? He's only going to move where the profit is. He hasn't got his numbers yet after making that aggressive move and assessing. He hasn't induced enough traders. So that's what we're expecting. TDI is already at the bottom Bollinger Band. They've given us the initial high and the initial low. Correction, we're over here today. The initial high and the initial low, right? Just waiting to see if they come back and retest today's high or last week's high. This is really where we're anticipating that reversal to come from. But don't be surprised if they extend and go up to that 25 pip box, give us an M, and then drop. So, all right, Nick, you got anything else? You said you had some comments.
Yeah, so we're gonna start doing live trading sessions. We covered this last week, but we're gonna be looking to do at least 2 live trading sessions. They'll be hosted on our social media sites as well, broadcasted live. So at least 2 of them a week. Looking to do that. All right. As with every other webinar, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the group chat or send us each a direct message. Otherwise, we will be back tomorrow, 8:30 Central Standard Time, to give you a daily market update.
All right, have a good night.